I don't want to be worst in the league in average again. That's
embarrassing.
That's just it's embarrassing. Hello, and welcome to Blue Jays Today, where we always have something to say about the Blue Jays. I am your host, Nick Playlock.
And I'm your host, Adam, and today we're going to be talking about whether we think the Blue Jays have a top 10 offense. Nick?
Wow, this should be a short and sweet video. No.
No. MLBranks.com, or MLB.com came up with the ranks on what they think is the top 10 offense, and while I surely disagree, and Nick can surely disagree with a few of these choices, what I can agree on is that we do not.
Like, we are not on
We're not even on it.
Yeah, of course, yeah. If we were on it, that'd be completely messed up.
Mm-hmm.
Here, actually, before we get into, like, Toronto's stats, how about you just run us through who they think are going to be the top 10 offenses?
All right.
So we can kind of paint the picture as to be like, these are the lineups that we need to be at least, competing with, being on par with, which we probably aren't.
No, not yet at least. No.
Anyways.
So, number one they have is the LA Dodgers, which, they're expected to be up there,
Can't argue.
The number two they have are the Minnesota Twins. They hit the most home runs last year.
Yeah.
Can't argue with that. And then they have number three, Houston Astros.
Can't argue.
Number four is the New York Yankees.
Nope, that's great. Love it.
Yeah. Number five they have is the Oakland Athletics.
Bit too high for me, but still a very good team.
I agree. Just a tad too high, because when you see these next few lineups and some lineups that aren't even on here, it's like, why are they there?
Right.
Why are they that high? Anyways, number six they have is the New York Mets.
Well, again, too high for
Bit
me.
too high.
Still better than us, but
Still better than us.
too
yeah.
high.
And then number seven they have are Chicago White Sox. And
Love
do
the
like
White
Chicago
Sox.
White
I do
Sox.
agree with that ranking, I think.
Number eight is Chicago Cubs.
Okay.
I think they're
in and
warranted.
around there for sure.
Number nine is the Boston Red Sox.
Too low
Just
in
a
my
little
opinion.
too low. Literally all their players put off massive offensive numbers. If you're just looking at offense, yeah, they deserve to be way higher than
top five in my opinion.
Definitely over New York Mets, absolutely. And then to round off the list, and this is just a disagree. You got two really good players, but not much more than that. It's the LA Angels. Mike
right.
Trout and Anthony Rendon.
Yeah, and I disagree with that one, but you know what? Again, like I would say more proven than we
Definitely
are
more
with their
proven.
two elite stars, and teams that aren't on that list that like we find very notable. You got the Braves, you got the Nats, you have the Rockies, all teams that I think truthfully have a better lineup than we do.
Oh yeah, definitely better than our lineup.
And let me paint the picture for you guys as to why we think that the Blue Jays aren't gonna have a top 10 offense this year. And I would love to be proven wrong, but when you look at the 2019 statistics, things don't look good, boys.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone was watching last year, we literally were last in batting average at 236.
To put that in perspective, that's like only 6 batting points higher than Teoscar Hernandez. Like, it's basically like we're just a bunch of... And it's really funny because, like, the type of player that Teoscar Hernandez is really the type of team that we were last year.
Yeah. Now, granted, our team was going through a transition. Guys were being called up, later, especially the one who hit the best average, Bo Bichette.
Actually,
being called up later.
I'm gonna talk about that a bit later because I did a bit of math and I looked at our average runs over the last 2 months of the season and compared that to the beginning. So let's touch on that afterwards. Right. But to continue going, our on base percentage 305. That was 4th worst in the whole MLB. So not only are we having a hard time even batting the ball, but we're also having a hard time getting on base. I could go through the rest of these numbers, but
I could point out 2 more notable ones that are probably the best standouts for us, and that's our power numbers. You look at our slugging, and we were 17th in the league. We hit 428 slugging. And our home runs, we were 9th in the league. And that actually shocked me this morning when I looked it up. Because, when the thing is, our team we're swinging out of our asses.
Yeah.
But when we do make contact,
that was there were 2 stats actually that we were top 10 in. So we had that with home runs, and then we were 7th. Do you know which one?
No, I didn't look it up. No.
It's K's.
Okay, so the bad stat.
Yeah.
We were top 10 in that stat.
Yeah, literally. But to know that when we're making contact, we are smacking it out of the park. Like, that's good. That's positive. We like to be top 10 in home runs. If we could finish 9th in home runs again this season, I think we'd both be pretty pleased about that. But yeah, like, the problem is we're just simply not scoring enough runs. We were 23rd in runs, like, just in total runs last season. 23rd in RBIs, 23rd in OPS. We were just like bottom half to like worst in the league in pretty much anything that has to do with runs scoring.
And if you're a kind of person where it's like, maybe, they're not like, they're getting unlucky or whatever with their balls in play. Well, no, our BABIP, our balls in play is average. So the batting average when you put a ball in play, not counting strikeouts, it's actually the last as well, 280.
Yeah, so even when we are making contact and like, putting it in the field, it's still, we are not.
A lot of improvements.
Yeah, basically we need a lot of improvements, and the main stat that I look at when I'm talking about an offense is how many runs on average are you producing per game. To put this in perspective, we were producing 4.48 last season. Okay, 4.48. If we have, elite pitching that can make do, well, we didn't have elite pitching, and that's why we lost like 90-plus games. But the best in the league was the New York Yankees. They were producing 5.77 runs per game. Yeah. That is like almost 1.5 runs more than we are producing. That's a lot of runs.
Yeah, and that's a lot of runs. That's a lot of runs to even try to compete with, especially with even a pitching staff that they're literally going to destroy.
Yeah, dude, do you know who was 3rd in average runs per game? It was Boston, who's also in our bloody division, and they were producing 5.56 runs per game. So 4.48, boys, is not cutting it.
Now, granted, this was all last year, and you have people, like, again, coming up and different batters and all sorts of things. So, Nick, tell me about what you found out with the last half of our
what
season.
I did, because I was thinking the same thing, and I'm like, okay, like let's, like, write off the first bit of the season, because, like, we were finding ourselves, we were getting guys up, we didn't know who our team was. So I just looked at August, and I looked at September. And I basically counted up all of the runs that we got in August and September, and then I averaged those out for the games. And basically, like, in August, we had a pretty decent month. Like, we upped ourselves a bit. We were producing 4.66 runs per game. And in September, it was 4.56, and that averaged itself out to 4.6 runs per game over the last 2 months of the season, which is still definitely not elite, but it's showing that it's better. And I guess to put that also in perspective, the league average last year was 4.83. So we're still behind the league average when you look at the last 2 months. But I think, and this kind of leads into what I'm projecting for these guys in the coming season, I think that if we look at the growth of these players, then we could be thinking about the league average as far as average runs per game.
And they're only going to grow, so exactly. They're literally going to, what we should expect is 500. And if we're fans and we're like, okay, what do we want from these guys? Give me 30 wins at least.
Yeah, exactly. And realistically, like, if we can produce, like, if we can finish roughly in, like, 15 area in offense, then, like, I'm going to be pretty happy about that, because at least there's going to be games in there. There's going to be times when people are stepping up to the plate and manufacturing things, like making runs happen. Because last year it was so often that people would get up to the plate and innings over, like that's it.
You can't string runs together. You can't string any offense because it's so inconsistent. You got guys in the bottom half of the lineup hitting 230, and you're not going to have anything. You know, you basically have your top four, and that's about it.
We had guys in the top half of the lineup, like Randall Grichuk hitting 230.
Yeah.
Granted, he was smacking 31 home runs.
Like top half, like he was. Or like you mean like fifth or sixth spot?
Well, he moved around. I believe there was in the earlier half of the season he was in the top half, like batting fourth and whatnot. But eventually his spot should secure itself in the fifth or sixth
spot,
area, which is going to be a lot better. But yeah, basically, guys, we're looking at a team right now who just needs to improve on almost everything.
Yeah, almost everything except for power and play discipline. For some people. That's one of our better skills.
Yeah, and it's gonna be tough, dude, just because of the division that we're in as well. Like being in such a offense heavy division with the Red Sox, with the Yankees, like it is gonna be tough to compete with those guys.
Thing is, it's like, you know, we're in the wings, right? We're not. Like, we can show we can compete, but we're in the wings. So we got to wait until they either go through some management changes or some sort of player changes, or they're going through some, like, rebuild, which, let's be frank, New York will never go through a rebuild, ever. They're just going to buy their team again.
No, they have too much money to ever go through a rebuild.
And I haven't seen the last time since the Rays have gone through a rebuild, probably, like, 8 years ago.
Well, man, like their coaching is just like, in my opinion, so elite, bro. Like I
keep producing elite players.
Yeah, exactly. Like they're consistently just like good.
Yeah,
you know, and to me that always spells out like it means the management and the coaching is good. And
yeah, so the only way, guys, we're gonna be honest, the only way that we're gonna be able to compete is we literally just have to beat the New York Yankees and the Tampa Bay Rays and the Boston Red Sox. If we can beat those guys and show that our offense can match theirs, now we're talking top 10 material.
Yeah, you know, and realistically, dude, like if we get these, if the home runs stay the same, if we're smacking 9th in the league in home runs, and then we can up the average, like I don't want to be worst in the league in average again. That's embarrassing. That's just it is. It's embarrassing. It's literally like people ahead of us. Everyone's ahead of us. Miami. What? Detroit? Excuse me? Who plays for you?
Yeah.
You know, like we can do this, gentlemen.
Yeah.
We can't do top 10, but we can maybe do top 20.
Top 15.
Top 15.
That's our goal. That's our goal.
If we finish 15th, I'm happy.
Yes, I agree.
Period. Moral of this story.
So what do you guys think? Do you think we're going to end up top 15, hopefully? Or do you think the Blue Jays are going to be top 10 already? I'd like to hear that if you think so.
Literally love to hear your argument on that. Please convince me they will be a top 10 offense.
Yeah.
You guys can find us at all of our things, which are Spotify, Breaker, Google Podcasts, on our YouTube,
Anchor, and Radio Public.
Those are all of them.
As well as our Instagram, you can follow up and see daily updates and posts about the Blue Jays and any sort of news that comes out, especially leading up to opening day.
1,000 followers! We just cracked the milestone!
All right, guys, thanks for watching.
And go Jays.